This week, a client of mine in my program, the Better Belly Blueprint, asked a question inside our coaching program. Do you have any recommendations on what could be done to improve oral health as a way to improve general belly health? With his question, I realized, yes, I do have recommendations, but I do not have a podcast episode on it. Therefore, on today's episode, I'm sharing my top 4 oral health habits I recommend to boost your gut health. If you're ready to have the best gut health ever and whole body health of your life and not waste your time or money on practices that don't matter, this episode is for you. Hey friend, welcome to the Better Belly Podcast. If you're currently trying endless supplements, doctor visits, and diet changes to heal your mystery symptoms, you are in the right place. We're here to solve the real root causes behind your gut, hormones, skin, sleep, and brain concerns. Literally anything and everything in your body. My name is Allison Jordan. I'm a functional medicine practitioner that has supported over 150 clients just like you to heal problems that no one has been able to fix. You don't need a perfect diet or a random supplement you found on Instagram to heal. You need a proven system that heals your whole body from the inside out. That's what I'm here to share with you, episode by episode. It's time to make health easy again. And just as a reminder, this information is not meant to diagnose, manage, or treat disease. Always consult with your own health practitioner before you make any changes to your health. All right, guys, I am excited for today's episode and want to share real quick that before we jump in further, today's episode will not be centered generally or only around brushing and flossing advice, right? We are going to go past that. So I hope you are brushing and flossing for your own oral health. But these top 4 oral health habits, I hope, are refreshing. Maybe you've heard of them, but they will bring them more top of mind. And they are things that I have seen in my practice make a big difference, because when I've had clients where oral health was a component of them not really being able to get a leg up on their gut health, like it really was holding them back, these 4 things are part of, these 4 tips or habits are what I was seeing not happening in their life, really making big difference in their oral health, and then their oral health making a big difference in their gut health, which actually leads to, before I get into the 4 habits, I just want to talk a little bit about the gut-mouth connection. Some of you might not be aware that there is a gut-mouth connection, but you liked the, title of the episode and you thought, oh, cool, oral health. I didn't know that could help. Let me listen. So before we jump further in to the actual 4 habits, I want to connect how your mouth is impacting the rest of your gut and actually your whole body. So quick explanation, the bacteria of your mouth are basically the beginning seed of all the bacteria in the rest of your gut. You swallow, this can be gross, but think practically, you swallow 1 to 2 liters of spit every day. Yeah, 1 to 2 liters. I mean, that's so gross. Like, maybe I'm the only one doing this. Sorry. But what I imagine is like a liter of soda just filled with spit. And if that spit had bad bacteria in it, unhealthy infections, you are going to have issues. And what's interesting is you do not need to have a periodontal disease for this to be an issue. You do not need to have a known periodontal disease. You don't need to have receding gums. You don't need to have bleeding gums. You might know that you have some oral issues. You might not know you have oral issues. You might think you have a very healthy mouth. That's actually the case with the majority of my clients who come to work with me, that they've come in with chronic issues in their body, not just gut health, but sometimes it's neck pain, jaw pain, shoulder pain, headaches, migraines, autoimmune conditions, all sort of things. And as I'm taking their health history, because when you do functional medicine, you shouldn't just say, well, I work with the gut, I'm only going to ask questions about the gut. We're asking questions about everything that could impact them. And one of them is their mouth. And I've helped clients actually identify that their mouth is an issue when no other doctor could. So being that I'm not looking at your mouth right now, I'm going to give you some of those 4 tips, 4 health habits to integrate into your life so you can find people or basically know and have a better idea on if oral health is one of the things that could be holding you back from getting your gut health under wraps. And lastly, before we jump into that, all of the 4 health habits, I also want to mention something you may already know, but if you want to dive more into this information, the gut is connected to every part of the body. And I've actually been chronicalizing what I've been writing all of them down and putting them in podcast episodes as throughout our podcast. So I'm going to put a lot of our gut connection episodes in the show notes. We have stuff like the gut breath connection, how asthma, heart palpitations, constipation, IBS, and acid reflux are all connected, the gut sinus connection, the gut skin connection, 6 secrets your sleep can tell you about your gut, the autoimmune disease and gut connection, how to heal your gut to end flare-ups, the gut allergy connection, and anxiety, depression, or ADHD, 1 reason to check your gut. These are all in the show notes. They are all podcast episodes. And now we're going to add one more, which is the gut-mouth connection. All right, here are the 4 recommendations. And these are like filtered through, like intentionally not picking some that you might think would be it. So these are just what I have noticed make the biggest difference for my clients. Number 1, address mouth breathing. Mouth breathing. Now, you might be like, I don't mouth breathe. Do I mouth breathe? I don't think I mouth breathe. Here's some signs of mouth breathing. Snoring, dry lips or dry tongue in the morning, bad morning breath. Like, not just like sort of bad, but like really bad when it's just really noticeable. Tonsil stones, which if you don't know what they are, you probably haven't had them. But if you have had it and you just happen to have never known a word for it, it's where your tonsils get mucus on the back of them that dries up over time. They smell horrific. And you aren't aware of them other than maybe thinking you just have really bad breath, that it's hard to get rid of it. But you'll really notice it if they get loose and then they might end up in your mouth. Sometimes you end up swallowing them, so you might not know. But if they end up in your mouth, it'll be this like very random piece of something tough, like a little stone or a little rock in your mouth. And you're like, where did that come from? I literally had a tonsil stone once. And yes, I have struggled with snoring and mouth breathing and all this stuff. Like, I've known that snoring was an issue since a kid. It was like my whole family would had this whole thing about, don't let me sleep next to Allison in the hotel on the bed because she snores and it'll keep me up. Like, it was like a family thing. I would snore and I would kick. So I've had like restless legs, which we're having an episode on restless leg syndrome come out in a couple months. I've had snoring, I've had acid reflux, I've had constipation. I feel like I've had a lot of it. I haven't had an autoimmune disease, but I've worked with a lot of clients with those. But I personally have had tonsil stones. It's very weird. But they are a sign of mouth breathing, and teeth grinding. And then like things like yellow teeth or marks on your teeth. Like if you wake up in the morning and there's like maybe like some white, like darker white, like your teeth seem to be 2 different shades, that can be from mouth breathing, and like your teeth drying out in certain areas, but then being wet in others because your lips are still covering them. Even when you're mouth breathing, like part of the tooth is showing, part of it's not. These are all signs of mouth breathing. If you're on a CPAP, if you know you have apnea, all signs that you would be mouth breathing. Why does this matter? This matters because it dries out the saliva in your mouth, which your saliva is supposed to be your natural antimicrobial defense. And this will raise your risk for things like cavities, alters your oral microbiome so that when you're swallowing your spit, it's not as healthy as it could otherwise be. Now, you might be like, okay, you gave me some ideas of how to know if I might have mouth breathing. By the way, even if you said no to all those, I still have had clients with mouth breathing. Sometimes they find it in sleep studies. Sometimes they just ask a family member, like usually a spouse, like, can you just see if my mouth is open when I'm breathing at night? And like, it just shouldn't be open at all. Even if you're not breathing through your mouth, if your mouth is open, it's a bad sign because your mouth can dry out. But I had a expert come onto the podcast, Madison Scott, who is an orofacial myofunctional therapist, and they specialize in helping people both evaluate if they have good oral structure so that their mouth stays closed when they sleep, that they can breathe through their sinuses, that they don't have a tongue tie. They are qualified in evaluating many things. And then they are also qualified to give you exercise. I like to call them like the PT for mouths, PTs for mouths, orofacial myofunctional therapist. Madison Scott is an orofacial myofunctional therapist. She works with clients virtually. She has her own clinic. You can go listen to her whole podcast episode called episode 48, Got Snoring, Sleep Apnea, TMJ, or Teeth Grinding. You may need an orofacial myofunctional therapist. So go and listen to that episode. It's a really, really great episode. And we're putting it in the show notes. So address mouth breathing. I cannot tell you how many times that I have clients who just are like, I don't know why I keep getting cavities. I don't eat sweet food. I brush my teeth morning and night. I floss. I do all these things, and they're mouth breathing, and it's really messing things up. All right. Next one, work with a biological dentist. So a biological dentist is basically the dentist's world's version of a functional medicine practitioner. So they are usually going to be trained in extensive things like having more thorough evaluation for issues like cavitations. And a cavitation is a infection of your mandible or your jawbone that happens typically after a tooth has been removed. So if you've had a root canal, just because the root canal isn't causing you issues doesn't mean the cavitation isn't there. I've had so many clients when one in particular, she had a dentist. She kept telling her dentist, and this client, she would say, I have discomfort where that root canal was done. And the dentist would say, well, we did an x-ray and the tooth looks fine. And the root canal was removed, so you shouldn't have any pain. And so for years, she'd been telling her doctor that she had issues, and she had a lot of chronic health issues. When she started working with me, it took me a year or two to learn this from her, that she had dental issues. And I immediately was like, you need to switch dentists, go at least get an evaluation from a biological dentist. Maybe you don't even have to decide if you're going to leave your current dentist or not. Just get an evaluation by a biological dentist. And sure enough, she went to the dentist. They found 4 cavitations. Her mercury fillings had been started to, I think it had to do with the actual root canal removal, where they didn't remove it properly. And so some of the mercury that had been in that tooth was now in her gums, chronically dumping mercury into her body. I mean, crazy stuff. She had to get a ton of dental work, but her health started to finally take a turn, and she started getting better without having to take so many supplements and do nearly as much work to feel good. She simply got rid of a root cause by going and seeing a biological dentist. So yes, over this audio, I can't evaluate your mouth, but the biological dentist can. So just simply Google biological dentist near me and just get an evaluation with them. Some of them are trained in, what do they call it? They're airway experts, meaning they can evaluate if your sinuses have developed enough, and if you might be having poor orofacial malfunctional development, and that maybe you might be dealing with mouth breathing or hidden tongue ties, all sorts of stuff there. They also might be familiar with, and usually are familiar with, how to do safe removals of mercury amalgams from you. So if you have any metal or mercury fillings, and you know that that's something you want to deal with at some point, and mercury definitely can be impacting your health. If you know that, then again, a biological dentist is going to be so key to having the skills that you need to have in a dentist to get better and for them to find some of your issues. So that's number 2, have a biological dentist. Number 3, go beyond brushing and flossing, just your front teeth. Number 1, if your dentist has told you this before, they are correct. If they've never told you, shame on them. But using an electric toothbrush has done wonders for me and for my family and for my clients. Getting an electric toothbrush that just moves in circles while you work or while you brush is so much more effective. But when you're doing that, I also will go and I will brush the roof of my mouth as far back as I can handle without gagging, especially if I'm getting sick. This is like a huge sick tip. If I'm feeling my throat get scratchy, my tonsils are sore, my throat is sore, I will do some nasal sprays to help clear out the microbes in my sinuses, but then I'll also brush very far back as I can handle. And the more that I've done it, the more I can handle it. But definitely be careful with your gag reflex. Sometimes I've brushed too hard around my tonsils and have made them bleed a little, but I do think that's also because it's usually around times when they're also dealing with infection and trying to fight that off. But getting rid and doing like a more clean, especially further back, is going to be great. If you're getting like chronic postnasal drip, that might be building up on the back of your tongue or the back of your upper palate or your tonsils, anything there that's just going to be helpful for preventing the buildup of biofilm and keeping your microbial balance more in check for your mouth. All right. But the last tip is you want to look for root causes of poor oral health. There's a possibility that your root cause isn't a cavitation. Like if you have struggled with oral health, really bad smelling breath, or your mouth is constantly dry, or your gums are bleeding, or there's some gum recession. I've had clients with those issues that like no matter how much they brush their teeth and they're doing like the most holistic types of mouthwashes, and they're even maybe taking probiotics for their mouth, which is usually tablets that you chew, like they just weren't seeing a lot. And then we found out that they had like an actual infection deeper into the gut. So one client, it was H. pylori, which is a bacteria that hangs out in your stomach. Well, H. pylori can travel up into and basically cohabitate with the spit in the stomach and the spit in the mouth, which is one of the reasons it's so easily to infect other people, is because if you kiss somebody, a spouse, they're going to get your H. pylori. You'll get theirs if they're the carrier. You can get it from kids. Kids can get it from each other, from their parents. You can get it from just bad hygiene of like sharing cups, things like that. So it's very easy to swap, and it will impact your overall health. H. pylori impacts your, symptoms like acid reflux, headaches, bloating, just overall gut health, like digestion, your ability to break down foods like protein and fat. So it can make you have fatigue. It can make it hard for you to build muscle. All these things can happen from that. And then of course it's altering your oral health. So you really want to look for deeper causes elsewhere in the body and gut too. If you're specifically having oral health issues, look both places. And I do have a whole podcast episode on H. pylori in episode 233, which I'll link in the show notes. You can additionally look for other types of infections that can be either because of the mouth or the mouth issues can be because of this by looking at our whole pathogen series. So the Candida episode 234, our SIBO episode 235, the parasite episode 236, C. diff episode 237, mold episode 238, Lyme episode 239, and Epstein-Barr virus or EBV episode 250. So the Better Belly Blueprint, the program that I run, is where we help you find and address not just pathogens, but all types of toxins and nutrient deficiencies. Mineral deficiencies, heavy metals, like if you have mercury, we'll be able to see it in the body. Mercury is not always about if whether or not you have metal or mercury amalgams. It could be other heavy metals that you have. I've had clients with high uranium, high cadmium, high lead. All of these things we help you figure out how to handle inside of the program through testing what only you need to test, by having you do our lab chooser tool, which evaluates your symptoms and your health history. So you know that you're only doing the labs relevant to you, which saves you a ton of money, but also helps you find all the information you've been missing to help you heal. And in module 5 and 6, we help you evaluate those labs with our like a functional medicine pro, and then alter protocol templates based on your unique lab results. So you're only doing protocols and only doing parts of protocols that are relevant to you based off of your unique lab testing. So that is our entire Better Belly Blueprint program. When you join, you can join and just get the information and do it yourself at your own pace. You get lifetime access to the course. You can also add on group coaching for 3 months or a year after you've done your 3 months, and extend it to a year, and get daily one-to-one coaching inside of our private Facebook group and bi-weekly live group coaching on our coaching calls. So that is everything that you would need to do to find the root causes to oral health issues inside of the program. And if you do have oral health issues and you work with a biological dentist or you're working on cavitations, the program perfectly pairs and partners with it, because we're so aware of those being issues, and we can help make sure that everything you're doing lines up perfectly with any protocols or any work you're going to do to get rid of mercury fillings, how to bind mercury in the body, how to do things to help avoid exposure from mercury and other sources. All these things we can do for you inside the Better Belly Blueprint. So if you want to learn more about how the Better Belly Blueprint works, or you're ready to join, go to betterbellytherapies.com/training, and you can watch a free video that walks you through exactly how the program works, why it's different than other programs or other ways you can work with practitioners, how it saves you money, and how it has helped so many of our clients to heal. 600 plus clients heal from chronic issues. The average number of years that somebody has spent searching for solutions before finding it in our program is 10 years. So you are never too sick to join, never too sick to get results. And I hope that no matter what, even if you never join, that just knowing so many people are getting healed and that it's happening, that you get hope from this. So I hope that these 4 tips helped. Stop mouth breathing, get evaluation, get therapy if needed, work with a biological dentist, go beyond the basics of just the front of your teeth, make sure you're clearing out the back, and then address gut pathogens like H. pylori so you can get to the root of whatever oral health issues you're dealing with. So definitely never look at your mouth in isolation. Your mouth is simply the front door to your gut and the rest of your body. And you can, when you look at everything as a whole, get rid of your chronic health issues. And I would love to help you do that inside of our program, the Better Belly Blueprint. If you're looking for ways to work one-to-one, you don't want to have to watch videos or do any of the work yourself, like our Lab Chooser tool or analyzing your labs, we can work together one-to-one with you in our VIP program. If you want to look through and learn about our VIP program and also see if you qualify for a free one-to-one application call, you can go to betterbellytherapies.com/VIP, register, and get all the information on the program. Otherwise, I hope you guys have a great rest of your week, and I will see you guys in November.
Hey friend, I hope you loved this episode. If you've been a fan for a while or newly loving this podcast, can you do me a favor? Drop into Apple Podcasts and leave me a review. When you leave a review, you do so much. You help me know you're listening, you can tell me what you're loving so I know what to make more of, and you help others by boosting this podcast so other people like you can find the podcast too. I mean, it's a win-win-win, right? So if you want a way to pay it forward, just go to Apple Podcasts or click the link in my show notes and leave a rating and review. And if you want some more free stuff, just head over to my free Facebook group, betterbellytherapies.com/Facebook, and you can get access to all of my free support for you, including some Facebook group exclusive stuff like my podcast episode vault, where you can search the Better Belly podcast by topic and find exactly what you need to expedite your healing. I cannot wait to see you in there. Catch you guys next week.